Sometimes life happens
We see you.
and you feel all alone
We feel you.
with nowhere to go.
We got you.
So many questions unanswered.
We understand. Yeah.
And you feel like you can't
But God
wrestle with
understands.
your own thoughts. This is for you.
Yeah.
When life happens and it makes you feel like you're off the beat, 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 off the beat. Real authentic conversations. All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Off Beat Podcast. I'm your host, Jorge Ambriz, and it feels like forever, man, since I've been behind the camera. The ladies have been taking over, man. They've been killing it with their In My Woman of God series. And then by now, I'm sure they've already had their In My Woman of God era gathering, man. And so I'm excited for them to hop back on here and to share about that. And we're excited for more things to come, man. And again, man, we're all about having real, authentic conversations about real life's journey, about real life issues, man. You know, it's not about faking it till you make it all the time, man. Sometimes, man, it's you fall. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes parenting is hard. Sometimes being a dad is hard. Being a mom is hard. Life is hard sometimes. But you know what? That's what makes us. Sometimes life will break us, but it also makes us, man. And today, I'm excited. I'm excited, man. I have a special guest with us today, and he's ready to come on. He's ready to share his journey, and I'm excited for you guys to hear his journey. And to a lot of people, he's no stranger. But, man, I just want to introduce him. Coach Gary Walker, man. He is a former NFL Ravens, and now he's also a sports trainer, player coach development. And you know what? He is doing some great, awesome things. He's part his business, Get Your Mind Right here in Fontana, California. And I have seen firsthand what he is doing for the community, for the kids, for my child. Ezra, man, he's been a vital role in his life as well. So let's give it up for Coach Gary Walker.
What's going on? What's going on? Appreciate you, man. I'm blessed to be here, and this is gonna be a good one. I'm glad. I'm happy.
Yeah.
So thank you for all that kind words, and yeah, let's get it going.
Yeah, let's do it, man. No, and for real, man, you really have been. My son had an opportunity to work with you. For one of the flag football seasons.
Yes, sir.
And then also, I know we got in a few of your packages, your sessions there too, man. And honestly, it's been a game changer, man. It really has.
Thank you.
I really love the way you worked with him, the way you we'll get into it a little bit more, but the way you developed him.
Yeah.
And I really want to touch on that because I do believe there is a big difference between just working with kids and developing kids.
Facts.
So, but let's just get right into it, man, and tell us about your journey, man. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? Tell us.
So I was born in San Bernardino.
All right. Shout out to the Purdue.
Yeah, Purdue. So San Bernardino, I did San Bernardino Pop Warner growing up. So
Okay.
from 9 to 13.
Yeah.
The blessing was also I lived in Rialto, San Bernardino borderline.
Okay.
So I did San Bernardino Pop Warner, but I went to elementary and middle school in Rialto.
Okay.
So I went to Casey Elementary and I went to Frisbee Middle School. So that was already, a tough journey because I seen firsthand how the difference of Rialto and San Bernardino was.
Yeah.
And they're very similar, but I definitely got to experience life more of a, like I said, well-rounded growing up. My mom, she wasn't in my life growing up. She had her own struggles, so my dad took over the full load. I was around like 8 years old.
Okay.
So growing up, I dealt with a lot of struggles mentally. Had a good foundation with God because my dad, my stepmom that he married, my grandma, my auntie, and plenty of family from the church, ever since I moved with my dad, they were involved. So adversity was, I'm no stranger to adversity.
Yeah.
So adversity was definitely there. Like I said, my mom was on drugs growing up.
Yeah.
And football was an outlet for me. The church was an outlet for me. A lot of stuff I didn't understand. I was emotional growing up. A lot of people don't know this. I was very emotional growing up. I remember crying a lot, so getting picked on
Yeah.
at school sometimes. Believe it or not, I was bullied a little bit. You
Yeah.
know, I was a tough kid, so I would respond aggressively a lot of those times. But a lot of prayer while I was growing up, a lot of prayer from my family helped me fight the demons off, helped me fight through the adversity. So I got 3 other siblings with my mom, so it's 4 of us. And then with my dad, it was me and my older brother. And then he got married. I was young, and my I call her mom, but my stepmom, she has 2 daughters. So my dad, me and my brother, my stepmom,
Yeah.
2 daughters, and then my biological mom, me and 3 other kids. So pretty
Yeah, so
big
you had a
family.
big
We didn't all
family,
grow up
yeah.
in the same household, but there was years that we were all together, you know, being able to build that sibling bond. So it was fun. I had a lot of fun times. I don't look at it as bad memories or bad times. I see it
Yeah.
as great memories, great times. A lot of stuff I'm speaking on, I didn't see it as that when I was growing up. I'm
Right.
able to say it now.
Yeah.
But growing up, I had great memories. I had fun.
Yeah.
I went through, like I said, emotional times throughout the time because obviously I realized my mom wasn't around.
Yeah.
So, you know, that would get to me at different times. But my family loved me. You know, they showed me love. So that's why the development for me is important in trying to not train them, but develop them. And my style is a lot different for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. And yeah, no, that can, and I like how you say it, like, because we've touched on that a few times with other people. It's like you don't realize what you're going through.
You don't.
Like in the moment, you're just living the moment. You're
living
just
in the
being a
moment.
kid. You're,
Yeah.
you know, you posted a funny video the other day about like growing up in the '90s.
Growing up in the 90s.
You know, like, and that was kind of one of the cool things that we had. We did have a lot of outlets.
We did.
Like even if we were going through things, you know, even if we had strict parents or
Yeah.
or no parents in the picture, you know, we had an outlet where we would just go outside
Go
and
outside.
burn off steam and come back all sweaty, dirty, and you'd kind of, it was beautiful, you know,
Yeah.
because you would forget about what you were going through in those
Yeah.
moments.
Beautiful struggle.
Beautiful struggle, exactly. That's what I love it. Yeah, I love it. I like to call it like it's the beautiful struggle, man, because you don't know what's going on and you're just there with your friends. You're in your community. You don't realize you're growing up in poverty or where
really
you're growing
don't.
up. You don't even think about that. It's not until you start growing up or you start growing out of those things that
Yeah.
you start to realize like, dang, like for me it was like when like my parents you know finally were able to purchase their first home.
There we go.
You know, and we moved out, you know, from the projects, and we moved out into the, at that time, the east side of Vegas. It was like you know, it was like middle class, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's when you started to realize, like, dang, you had the bum sneakers, you know.
it's a little bit different
You
over
start-
here. It's like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. You start seeing different shades of color, and you're like,
sure,
oh,
for
okay,
sure.
like, dang, and you know, so, but childhood, man, but one thing I love that you also touched on, man, and again, it's not so much to make people feel bad or anything like that, but it really is to bring light of, man, how, because I've always read and heard how important a mother's love is in a child's life.
Facts,
That
facts.
nurturing, you know, it's like the father is the one who builds the child up, challenges the child. It's that tough love,
Yeah,
right?
that tough love.
But a mom is like, I think that's where a child, especially for a boy, for a man, learns that unconditional love,
Facts.
learns that nurturing love. And to be able to hear that, man, I was an emotional kid growing up, it makes sense. It makes sense, you
For
know?
sure.
Because, yeah, you know, even though you don't exactly know what's going on, but to be able to be like, dang, like, where is mom's?
Facts.
You know, like,
Facts.
where is that, because it's hard to kind of, you know, I see, like, with my sons, I see how it's kind of hard for them sometimes to share things with me. But with mom, it's like, you know, they're all in. They're like,
Yeah,
here's
it's a
all
different conversation.
different. Yeah. And then dad walks in like, what happened?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, oh, no.
Yeah, it's like, oh, nothing.
Yeah. So in a way, you kind of learn to survive.
Definitely survival skills. My stepmom, my dad's wife, very strong woman, very uplifting, very loving, nurturing. So I'm not discrediting or taking nothing away from her. She was always
sure.
there and a blessing making my dad better. So that obviously made me better. So like I said, the experience was still a blessing. But when you dive deeper into, the details,
Yeah.
it definitely is a lot of those, gray areas for me that I didn't notice as a kid.
Yeah.
But as I become, a man and a young adult and then a man and then dating and having kids and, dealing with women, I have having a tough time
Bro.
with some of my decisions. And I know all men most likely do as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think, my experience is making me worse or less or anything like that. But I
100.
know there's some gray areas in there that I have now as a man have to look back and be like, wow, okay, I can do better.
Right.
In those situations
Yeah.
when it comes to my personal life and that realm of thing. But you're right. The nurturing, the loving of a mother is key. And I missed out on a lot of that, unfortunately. But I was still able to get what I was able to get from my stepmom and other women in my family. I have strong women in my family.
Yeah.
So that was a blessing that they, were able to pour into me and get me nurtured up and loved.
Yeah.
Just from a different way experience, basically, from me, from my point of view.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. I even love the way that you said they embraced you. They took you into the community, even with the church, because I think that's vital too, man. Having a church community is so vital in a child's life, man, especially in today's age.
In today's age, I've been talking to some of my parents. Shout out to the single mothers out there. Shout out to the single fathers also. And shout out to the couples. At any stage you're at, you need to find a good mentor as an adult and a good mentor for your student athletes. So the church is the first place to look. There's obviously things going on at every church, of course, but find the right church where you can fit in and get the right truth for you and yours, because these kids now, they're getting pressed with so many different things that some of the parents have moved away from the church or moved away from the faith. And I believe that the faith is really what's going to keep us strong in working through these tough times.
Yeah.
So let's make sure we be mindful of finding that church home. Because like I said, when I went with my dad, I've been around those same people. Some of the people that was looking for me as a youth when I was living with my mom was with my dad looking for me. And they're my uncles today, and they're still around.
That's cool.
And still standing strong and solid men.
Yeah.
But I remember my dad looking for me.
Yeah.
Coming to look for me in San Bernardino, because they were like in Fullerton or Brenner Park at the time. So I moved back. It's crazy because I moved back to San Bernardino when my dad, when I first moved with my dad, I think I did a year out there. Then I remember vividly crying when I heard San Bernardino coming back. Because those first 6, 7 years, 8 years, I was with my mom in Adino. And we were, in treacherous areas for sure, all through San Bernardino. Yeah. So, one house, one apartment, one spot. How it goes sometimes with those inner city things. So when I moved with my dad, stability, love, I'm starting to see the transition. Then we got a house in, like I said, borderline Rialto, San Bernardino. And I was just like, wait, what? Why are we out here again? What's this about? So it was a great experience, though. And I'm just blessed to overcome a lot of the adversity, because I've seen people crumble. I've seen people fold. I seen myself even falling into depression, like I said, because people will talk about me and different things like that. And, mental toughness is something serious. So my dad talked to me all the time, all the time. And I really believe that helped me, and that was God blessing him to bless me, because he didn't have a father growing up. So he was doing the best he could off the knowledge he had and experience he had. And like I said, his wife, my mom, she's a strong woman, so she was helping point some things out to help him be better. Yeah. So obviously that trickles down to me, which it actually did. So it was a balance that I was fighting as a youth, So that's why when I'm with these kids, the passion that I have is a little different. But, some of them don't understand it yet. Some of them don't see it. They think maybe it's just being tough or being mean or trying to belittle them. But it's really just trying to give them a different perspective and angle of life that this type of style can make you better if you take on the challenge. You
Yeah.
said that earlier, something about challenge. Like a lot of times now we're running from the challenge. We're not having enough grit. You know, we're not having enough effort sometimes too, or consistency to the
Yeah.
discipline that it takes. And I think as a youth, I learned that, having that consistently, having that discipline. So that's what I want to try to trickle down. I
Pour
wanna
into the kids.
Pour into the kids. Just
Yeah.
a different style that I may have. And I'm still working on myself. I'm
Yeah.
still growing. I'm still learning. That's why to get your mind right is for me.
Yeah.
It's really just a lifestyle for me to live. I promote the brand. I live the brand. But it's not about money with the brand. It's about figuring out a way to give back to the youth
Yeah.
and challenge myself to be better and do
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, no, yeah, man. No, and you could see it, man. Like I said, like when that was one of the things that I loved about when I would take my son with you, man, is you know, sometimes, man, like they can only hear so much from a dad, you know,
Facts.
from a father, man, and sometimes it takes other people to pour into, man. That's why I
Yeah.
believe so much in community, and you know, but you could see when a coach is just trying to be, you know. Is just trying to be mean, or just trying,
Yeah.
or doesn't like the kid, or you know what I mean, or they're just, you know, or they're just like, you know, frustrated because their skill set isn't at a certain place.
Yeah.
You see a lot of that, man.
Yeah.
But with you, like, it was like, no, like the things that you would follow through with the correction. It's like I remember even telling my wife, I'm like, man, I like how he talks to Ezra, you know, because it wasn't like I was, oh, he's being mean to Ezra, like my poor son. Like, no,
yeah.
it was like you're being tough on him, but to a point where, like you said, man, it like you really do represent your brand, because it was like it's mental blocks, it's mental barriers that our children are gonna
100%.
go through as adults. But if they don't figure that out now,
Yeah.
you know, if they don't see those mental blocks now, like that was one of the things that as a kid I wish I would have been explained to me, you know, like unfortunately, man, like for me, like I grew a lot of bad habits as a kid.
Yeah,
Where a
it
lot of
can
my
happen.
bad habits was like giving up. You know, like I
Yeah.
was like, you know, I had talent, but you know, I had no follow through.
Follow
You
through.
know, and yeah, I could sit there and blame my parents and blame this and blame that. But at the end of the day, I did develop something, you know, where it was like, it was kind of like a quitter mentality without
Yeah.
even knowing.
Without knowing.
Without knowing, like I was quitting on myself. I was quitting on that because, you know, because of XYZ, you know.
Yeah.
But now it's like, as what I know as an adult, I'm like, damn, man, if I would have applied that as a kid, like there's no money. Well, how can I get money? How can I
Yeah.
fundraise? You know, like I got no ride. How can I? How can I
walk,
be communicative?
maybe?
How can I
Can I
walk? How
skateboard?
can I
Yeah.
jog? You know what I mean?
Finding out those outlets instead, like you said, kind of like not a quitter mentality at the time, but as you look back, you're like, dang, I think that's how
Yeah.
you feel now.
Yeah.
You know, at the time, it was like, well, these are the reasons why I'm not able to.
Right.
And it makes sense because, like, oh, well, it's hot outside, or oh, I have to go 1.5 miles. Like,
Yeah.
and no one's making you do it.
Yeah.
It becomes a point where it's on you.
Right.
You know, it's like, are you going to do it?
Right. Yeah.
So those are the things that I want to make sure that I'm helping them understand, because now they're a lot more guarded. They're a lot more just, what is a nicer way to say it? They're more, not timid, but more just, they can make decisions without really knowing if that's a good decision. They're more entitled, as they call it, the entitled generation.
Yeah.
But it's deeper than that. I think the parents are just trying to raise them so in a way that they weren't raised, that we create bad habits a little bit, the unknown, like you're saying, you know. So now some of them don't have to do the follow through also, you know. And now we're more aware, because time has went by. We're more aware of, okay, I need to follow through, and I need to teach a follow through.
Yeah.
Even if it's adversity, you know, now people want everything to be on point.
Right.
Like if the structure ain't perfect, or it takes a little bit of time to work some things out, or, you know, we have life situations happening. I think now people feel like you owe them now a little bit more. You know, it's more, at least that's how it feels.
Like I put in enough work, so what am I going to get back now?
Exactly.
Instead of understanding that, hey, this is part of the process.
We're working together.
We're working together. Yeah. This is
know.
part of the process. And at the end of the day, even with that, there's no guarantee.
There's no guarantees.
Because that's life.
Besides you gonna get in shape, you can create some memories.
Yeah.
But you can put this training or this knowledge into the next part of your life.
100.
You know, so I just feel like there has to be the learning curve for the parents right now, because I think the parents are not understanding some of the process.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to a lot of things that's, what is it, glitter is gold. But, you know, a lot of the times that's not gold, because the people that you trust with your kids, you also got to think, can they help me get to the next level?
Right.
If that's what your plan is for your kid, or if that's the plan that your kid even has. You know, if your kid is telling you, hey, I want to play at this type of level, or I want to go to this type of school, you have to find the tutors, you have to find the mentors, you have to find the trainers.
Right.
You know, and who works for you. So if it doesn't work for you, that makes sense. You
Right.
know, but it's important to, when you start something, try to finish, try to follow through.
Yeah.
And that's been a struggle for all of us. You
Yeah.
know, and this is a conversation for us all.
Oh yeah, you're preaching to me, man.
That's
like,
the battle
yeah.
we have in our head.
It is. It really is. And I think with a world full of options, you know, I think back then it was like more like
Limited.
And my example was like, you know, we had the Boys and Girls Club. You know,
Yeah.
there was a few leagues in Vegas, but for the most part, it was the Boys and Girls Club. With
yeah.
in Vegas, they had what's called the Inner City Games, all that stuff. And so a lot of the things that, you know, they would start you off with was that, you know, was like, okay, you start here, and then they would have coaches from the leagues around the city come, and then, or trainers around the city, and then from there it would be like, hey, like, if you want your son to continue, here's the package, here's what you got to do, you know. And it was just more simplified back then, you know. And as to now, like, I feel there's so many options, man, that even for me, like, you know, I'll be honest, like, I mean, I have my 12-year-old daughter. You know, she's very studious. You know, she's
good.
Her sports for her is like more, we want to just keep her in shape. We want to, you know, lifestyle. My son Ezra, he's 9. You know, he's a good kid. He's a strong kid. What I see with him is like, I just want him to develop as much as he can, so that, you know what, keep him out of trouble. You know, keep him focused. Build a disciplined life for him, because I know that I see a lot of him in me. I see a lot of him, and you know, of what I see, and so I don't want him to develop a quitter's mentality. I want him
tendencies that you feel like, oh no, we're gonna cut this off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if like, you know, those big dreams come to him, then it's like, okay, we'll have that conversation, you know. But, and then my 5-year-old, same thing. Like, we're just like, we want to, you know, but it's like, even with just something as simple as that, I'm like, where do I go?
Where do I go?
There's so many options. Who do I work with? What do I do? What's the best outcome, you know? And for me, though, what has helped me a lot was like, not so much like interjecting, but me being involved.
Yeah.
You know, like, I just like say, you know what, I don't know, so I'm not saying I'm his best coach, but I'm gonna be a coach figure in his life too. I'm gonna be a dad figure, but I'm gonna be a coach figure. So whatever sports they do play, I'm gonna be involved.
Yeah, because you're learning with them.
Yeah.
And then now that's another bonding. You know, that's another bonding tool that y'all can use to grow together.
Yeah.
And to be on the same page. So it's important. I have sons myself. I have 4 sons.
Yeah.
So 2 of them play sports. The other 2 are still, you know, young, trying to figure it out. So I have an 8, 6, 5, and 3-year-old. So with them, it's, you know, it's a blessing to see myself in them.
Yeah.
For the good, the bad, the ugly, you know? So I'm like, what?
It's scary.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Why would he do that? And then I'll be thinking like, actually, I would do that too. But then sometimes it's not the right thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, actually, that's not, or one of my sons will be like, oh, no, you're not supposed to do that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I would do that. But I'm saying it in my head, obviously.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're challenging me to do better and then to see things in a different light, because obviously they have their mom in them too. So it's great to see like them challenging me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And making me better. But I think having a standard for them, I think I'm seeing a lack of standards for kids. I'm seeing a lack of I want to say responsibility, but more of the accountability. You know, I'm
Yeah.
seeing it okay to do these things that really don't help build your kid to be better. And
Right.
you're allowing it from the music, from the television, from the, the iPads and phones. And I fall victim to it myself at all. And I try to be mindful and cut it off. Hey, put the phones away. For sure, if we're together, like at a dinner, put the phones down. For sure, if anytime we're bonding or spending time,
Yeah.
like if we're in the car driving or something, I'll be like, whatever, entertain yourself.
Right.
Or there's certain times where I feel like it's okay, but I know at some point there's a group of these kids playing video games together, FaceTiming together. Me personally, I don't really agree to that because I think the kids are falling into a false hope of identity crisis at that
Yeah.
point. You know, a lot of these kids are fighting now identity crisis from needing attention from that other classmate or other person that they're connecting with. So
Yeah.
be mindful of getting in those group chats and letting the kids just be free, because
Yeah.
my kids know when they come with me, it's different here. I'm trying to dial in with you.
Right.
I don't have time to have you with your friend on the FaceTime and all that. Our time is very valuable and very special, even though everybody's time. But me, talking for me, is very valuable, very
Oh,
special.
yeah.
So there's stuff I want to dial in and teach them, if it's read, if it's pray. And they do that with their moms too, for sure. So shout out to their moms. Their moms set a good standard and foundation when it comes down to nurturing them, loving them,
Yeah.
and teaching them how to be a good young man.
Yeah.
Respectful.
Yeah.
So I'm not taking nothing from the moms. I'm just speaking from
Your time.
with
No,
my
yeah.
time and giving some wisdom to the listeners. Like
Yeah.
when you with your kids, start spending time with them. Start talking to them. I know parents that they're next to them, but they're not talking to them. So let's start talking to our kids, giving them the golden nuggets that we have experienced
Yeah.
and some of the stuff that we struggle with,
Yeah.
to give them motivation to know it's not going to be easy.
Exactly.
So when they hear it from a coach or a trainer that, hey, life is not easy, or hey, this is how I communicate, it's different from what you ever heard, they're like, oh, okay, I think my parents didn't talk to me about something like that. Like
Yeah.
how his dad talked to him or his uncle. Like if they hear the experiences we had, now they'll understand why some of us are the way we are.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I love that, man. I'm glad that you touched on that because, yeah, standards definitely, man. And one of the things, like for sure, man, like when it comes to standards, man, I hope it's it's hard not to offend nowadays, man.
Yeah, facts.
But I say this with all love and with all respect. I even say this to me as a dad. Trust me, like even with my kids, I'm mindful of this, and we're not perfect. But man, one of the standards I feel that we've let go a lot in sports, for example, like in soccer. I have my kids in soccer sometimes too, and I've seen, man, just like this influx in overweight kids. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that we have to talk about this.
We have to.
I know that online there's this bad perception that we're always talking down on that stuff. And believe me, I'm not with bullying.
Yeah.
I'm not with, putting people, I'm not with hateful conversations about those things. But I think we do have to have healthy dialogue about this because, man, like last season I was able to coach, my son's soccer team. And one of the things that, honestly, we struggled with a lot was because of overweight, and I remember the days, man, like when I remember when I played soccer.
Yeah.
One of the things, man, that when I started to play soccer, I didn't have a starting position,
Facts.
And one of the things was like the coach, like, he would tell me like, you gotta get faster, you gotta lose weight,
Yeah.
and you know what, my dad, being the way that they were like, yeah, you do, and so that was one time in my life that I really did like kind of take that serious.
It wasn't like, oh, we're going to another coach now.
Exactly.
Or
No.
we're not gonna play anymore.
No, you offended my
You
son.
offended
like,
my son.
No,
or you're
no,
talking-
it was
okay.
like
Let's work on this.
let's work on that. And that's I remember that's when I started. I finally at that time I was about 11 years old.
Okay.
And I remember I said, you know what? Because at that point I was tired of getting made fun of too. You know.
Facts.
So I was like, all right. When my parents couldn't take me to practice, I started riding my bike.
There you go.
You know, I started riding my bike to practices. I would show up. I always tell this story to my kids. I would show up an hour or two earlier, and I would just run around laps around Freedom Park over there in Vegas. Run laps. And then by the time coach would come and practice would start, we would have 2-hour practices, and kind of like similar to football, sometimes 3-hour practices. And we would practice Monday through Friday, games on Saturday.
Yeah.
And so every day, man, I was like, man, by the time where, and it was, you know, one of the coolest moments, I was kind of a little off topic, but one of the coolest moments that I had during that time was there was a girl that used to make fun of me.
Yeah.
And she ended up playing soccer around that same area. And one day I was like, you know, running my laps, and she was like, George. I just heard of George. I'm like, and I turn around and I'm like, oh, Dan. I'm like, hey, what? I'm like, Haiti? I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah. And she was like, man, like, I didn't recognize you. Like, you lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, like I did. Like, I didn't realize
You didn't realize it because you're just putting the work
I was just putting in the work, you know, but man, I went from not having a starting position to never playing soccer before that. You know, I would just kick the ball, or I had no experience. But I put the work in. I was able to lose weight, and I was able to win a starting position on the team. You know what I mean? And so I feel that sometimes those standards, like, we don't, you know, I get it. Like, it's good. Like, every child should have a turn to play and things like that. Like, I think that's there's a good place for it.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, like, we should, where it's like, no, like, if you're not playing enough time, what are you doing about it?
What are you doing about it?
You know, what are you doing about
Stop
it?
blaming the next person or the coach or they don't like me, or sometimes it has nothing to do with liking you. And I think people try to put that as the excuse or the reason they don't like me.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, well, what habits do I have for them to not like me? You got to change the way that perspective is. I'm not going to keep telling them they don't like me. I need to start asking myself, what am I doing to not be liked?
Yeah.
You know, because then now I have a different perspective, and I can start looking, well, am I late, or am I jogging, or am I halving it, or am I not remembering my plays, or am I remembering these drills? Like, we have to start understanding that self-accountability is still number one for us.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going down on our self-list.
Yeah.
Self-love, self-accountability, I think we're getting lost maybe in social media, or lost into all the opportunities of everything that we can see online, and we forget to develop ourselves with the self-love. So how do we tell our kids, hey, work out? And we're not even doing, you know, some of the things that can help us be more healthier. You know, it's not about being a fitness instructor or looking like a fitness model.
Yeah.
You know, you can be quote unquote overweight because of your body structure or these things or these things, but you're running miles, you're running laps, you're doing your abs, you're trying to eat. We're more so talking about the habits, you know.
Yeah.
If your habits are working towards, you know, the right structure of something that can keep you healthy, you know, that's what we're talking about. And if that makes you gain some weight or makes you look like you're not in shape, that's different.
Right.
You know, we're more so talking about, or I think more so what is being discussed is the not having those habits.
Yeah.
You know, those habits of trying to be mindful of working out or eating a certain way or hydrating a certain way.
Yeah.
You know, it's more so being mindful, and it starts from the top. If you're not into working out or hydrating or eating a certain way, but you're making your kids have a standard, you know that
It's hypocritical.
Tough. It's tough.
It's hypocritical, and it is tough because
tough.
they're gonna see that, you know, and
eventually they might fall into those habits and now start overeating, or they might start eating off of anxiety or depression.
Yeah.
Because what if they see their parents stressing out, or I got bills all the time, I got this, and now they just see them eating or overeating or over just overdoing something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That isn't helping them with good habits. And we all have habits that we're doing. So we're not looking down or hate speech or
Yeah.
saying anything about people that aren't working towards a healthier lifestyle. We're just
Yeah.
saying it's going to help
Yeah.
us, and more importantly, our next generation, because
100.
we want them striding for success. And health is wealth. We've been
Yeah.
hearing it. So if we don't have the health, even with myself, I done tried to be more mindful and just changing my eating habits. More
I see
fruits,
that.
more veggies. You know
I
what I
see
mean?
that.
There's a lot of things that we learn, and it's like we have to unlearn. So I'm getting at a point where I want to unlearn some of these habits that I have created in my youth days, my young adult days, that was quote unquote cool, or you get glorified from. There's a lot of things I've done that I was getting glorified from, and then once it wasn't beneficial, or I wasn't making the money, or putting people in position to win, then everybody started kind of looking at me like, well, you have a bad attitude, or you have this, you have this. I'm like, I do? Oh, you're this way, you're that way. I'm like, I am? You know what I mean? I dealt with it when things shifted in my life around 22, 23 years old, when I got released from the Ravens. I dealt with everybody hitting me up, 200, 300, 400 friend requests overnight when I was with the Ravens. Literally like an instant, like DMs going crazy. People telling me, oh, I told you, blah, 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 you made it to the league, this, that, this, that. So it was a lot of attention being thrown my way. Once I got that call from the Ravens and went out there and did my thing and got signed with them, my life dramatically changed, not financially, but just far as the attention I was getting.
Yeah.
First, I was asking people to share my highlight tape, support me with my training, or, the stuff I was trying to do before getting picked with the Ravens and all that. When I was doing my pro day training and I was doing all those type of things, just trying to get, attention. But there was people reaching out like, yeah, come talk to the kids. Because I wanted to come talk to the kids. I wanted to be a part of the community. Shout out to Mike Bunch from Blitz Flag Football. He was always keeping me dialed in with the kids and trying to help me out.
Yeah.
With, being that. There was a handful of other people. So shout out to y'all. I'm not going to name y'all individually, but shout out to y'all. But yeah, my whole thing was about trying to be a part of the community, trying to build the village. And that was the goal, to make a few million so I can come back to the trenches, the inner city, and give hope.
Yeah.
To get your mind right is to inspire others not to lose hope.
Yeah.
And I've been in a position where I lost hope plenty of times, but my family kept the hope alive.
Yeah.
So I really didn't lose it. But in my own personal life, I felt like I was losing hope.
And isn't it interesting, man, and I think a lot of people don't see that side where people can be like, man, but you got all of this. You got all this support. You got all these friends, all this family. How is it that you can go down such a dark hole or despair or feel hopeless? A lot of people don't understand that. And a lot of men go through that, man. Talk about that a little.
So I'll give you a real life story, you guys, and this is not even out. No one knows this, but I feel like this is the time to let it be known, because I think a lot of people get it misconstrued about me, or think I'm perfect, or think that I haven't done no wrong, or that I don't struggle with demons or tough times. So when I got released from the NFL, I didn't have no direction. I really didn't know what to do. I had some money on me. I had money, you know what I mean? I had over 10,000. I had $750 credit, you know what I mean? So that was pretty decent money to continue either to pursue the football life or to just get in the work career and do that. But just in my mind, I was like, man, I need to hustle. So when going to the NFL, coming back home, and my mindset was forget corporate, forget this, that, and the third. I need to lock in with these individuals to try to hustle and make this type of money.
Yeah.
And my own pride and ego was steaming that, obviously, because I had goals of making 100,000, 200,000, few millions. So for me, it was like, rappers did it, athletes did it, and people in the streets did it.
Yeah.
And it was unfortunately that I started making decisions that was, I'm going to do some things in the streets and hustle. And that led me to getting in some big trouble. You know what I mean? I got in some big trouble in Texas.
Oh,
And you know what I mean? And that hindered a lot of my football progression at that point because I got into some major trouble. And yeah, so that right there changed my life dramatically because I never been in no real trouble. You know what I mean? Now I'm in Texas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, an unknown state.
Unknown state. I'm being accused of having a certain amount of marijuana. You see what I'm saying? And I'm like, I don't know what to say. So they took me in. You know what I mean? Now I'm like, what? I'm catching a ride to get to Texas for a tryout. You see what I'm saying? But I know the type of people I was dealing with at the end of the day. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm bringing my bag. I got my stuff. He heading out there. I'm going to ride with him. I'm good. So in the midst of being out there, I went and visited one of my buddies that go to college out there, and I'm chilling. I get back to the room later on that night. I'll go in the room. I'm like, okay. No one. It kind of felt weird a little bit because I'm like, well, where's everybody at? Where they at? So I go to my buddy's room that drove or whatever like that. I go to his room. As soon as I go in his room, I get the door kicked down on. And they're like, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, this ain't even my room. My room is across the hall. By that time, you know, it is what it is. They like, come with us. We're going to figure it out. And I'm like, huh? So yeah, man, I went from NFL to a year and a half later getting caught up in a real tough situation in Texas that had to pay a lot of lawyer fees. And that decision, like I said, to not go corporate or to not keep investing. I still was investing in the training. I ain't gonna lie about that. But the focus was making money, hustling, making money, however it was at the time. And like I said, I had people supporting me doing it because they were making money too. But I seen that lifestyle wasn't for me. It wasn't bringing in the support and love and the building of the foundation that I wanted. There was a lot of negative people in that industry that I was dealing with that, I wouldn't even say negative, snakes. Because they would talk a good game. Yeah, let's do this. We're going to do this together. Then we can do this and do this. That, all these plans. But it was more of a snake conniving world that I entered and got myself into. So the adversities of life can pull you in so many ways, from being at the top of your game, top in shape, to now maybe working out 2-3 times, not really taking it serious, trying to find other ways to make money. And it tears you down at the end of the day. It tears you down.
No, man. And I'm thank you for opening up on that, man, and for sharing that story.
You heard it here first, y'all. Y'all heard it here first.
You guys, man, right here on Offbeat, man. Yeah, dude, that definitely is an offbeat story, man, because I think so many young men can identify with that. I know I can identify with that. When there's so much light in you. Yeah. You know, there's so much love and hope inside of you, man. Good values, good morals that were built in you for years, man. And I think that's where, you know, even I think we can agree, that's where, you know, the enemy never sleeps.
The enemy never sleeps.
You know, the Bible says that he prowls around like a roaring lion, man, just looking, you know, and I think that sometimes, man, like, that's why I love your motto, your brand, get your mind right, because, you know, it's one of my focuses for my kids is like, yeah, I want them to be successful. Yeah, I want them to maybe have their own brand one day. I want them to be even educated one day. I want all that. But one thing I've learned throughout my whole life is that you can have all that, but if your mind isn't right,
and depressed, anxiety,
you're depressed, you're all this, man.
You're just living a standard that somebody else wants you to live.
Exactly, but you never internalize it for yourself. You never realize why you do what you do. And it's so easy to get ensnared, and I think that's where the enemy takes advantage of young men. You know, I'm glad you I'm glad you share that story, because that's one thing that every time I get a chance to talk to a young man, you know, right now in the Hispanic culture, man, there's a big thing right now going on where, you know, that culture of narcos, you know what I mean? There's a big, that culture of narcos is huge. In Fontana, it's big, you know, and it's a culture, you know, and I get it. I'm all for the culture. Like, I love being able to see my people win. But one thing I always just kind of try to, I'm like, man, be careful who you are around, please. And I always tell them, have you ever heard of the RICO case?
Yeah.
And they're like, no. I'm like, let me break down RICO cases for you, man. Let me break down the RICO acts for you, man. You don't ever want to be in the middle of a RICO act. They don't care where you're from. They don't care what you've done. They don't care if you've never even touched a drug in your life.
It don't matter.
All it matters is that if they have video, photos, association of you and these people, man, you're done.
You're done.
And if you're not done, it's going to be expensive to you, your family, legal fees that you're going to have to be involved with.
Yeah.
And I almost cry, bro, when I tell them, because I'm like, don't waste it trying to look a certain way, trying to be a certain way.
Trying to live to a certain status
for
quo.
what?
Just to go sit.
For exactly,
and
man.
not even be able to make nothing happen.
Yeah, bro. And so I'm so glad you touch on that, because I think that really, I mean, that was a story of my life for so many times. A lot of times I was just in the wrong place in the wrong time, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and so many times my mom would cry to me, begging me, bro, don't go, son. Don't leave the house.
Yeah.
And where is George going? Leaving the house, bro.
Trying to figure it out.
Trying
Like
to figure it out.
survival earlier, you said that.
Yeah, trying to survive, trying to be a part of something.
Yeah.
Not knowing, man, that and it can take you down a dark place.
And it's
from one-
false. And it's really false.
It is.
It's really a false, you know, unless you're able to wiggle through and get legit with certain things.
Yeah.
If you're in the streets or you're doing something that's not legal, it's just a false hope of this is real.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you're convincing yourself. So you're all in. You know what I mean? Then you got people hyping you up that won't do what you do.
Oh, no.
So they'll hype you up.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
no, keep doing no, you doing it.
Yeah.
You shine and then now you got that, like, man, I might as well keep doing this. Like,
They're just
even though you got other
Yeah.
plans and other goals, you might get stuck into just doing something based off, since the other people are you know, reaping the benefits.
Yeah.
They're encouraging you to continue to go through destruction.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the enemy's. Not saying that they're the enemy, but just saying the enemy works through us all. So
Yeah.
if they're not being like, well, it's time to switch this up, or, you know, there's other things we can do, entrepreneur, let's go open that LLC, or let's go start doing these things and we'll create a business off of our skill.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a struggle when you're half in, half out, in, half out, you know. So this was in 2015 too.
Oh, man.
So I still was grinding with the training, but then there was a period where, like I said, I went off the grid a little bit. That situation happened. And my son was born that year.
Okay.
So this was like 4 months to 6 months before my son, my first son. You know what I mean? So it was very, very tough. Just, you know, because this was in Texas, like I said, I had to work so hard to get everything transferred to California. You know what I mean? So like you said, the lawyer fees, the things like that. And then it was crazy because nobody was around anymore. Besides my family, of course, you know, like, and a few solid ones. And, you know, and then people start looking at you different so, you know, they hear about this, that. Now it's like, oh, well, he's crazy, or he's this, or he's, and it's like, I'm the same one that's still been representing this positivity as much as I can and pushing through, staying focused and still, but I got caught up with my own madness, my own ego-driven things, and things happen, but it doesn't take away the fact of my passion and my goal and my calling that God has put in my vision is to be here for the youth.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't come back to the IE that have had any type of success or any type of positive story to come help and implement. And I do work a lot out of Fontana, but my business is San Bernardino. So my 501c is based out of San Bernardino.
Nice.
And I'm going to start using it more. It's just been taking some time to fully develop the mindset of where the business and the goal is. So right now, I still offer the training, but now I'm going into the travel football for flag,
Nice.
West Coast Ravens, and even building a few teams for tackle. You know, and that's just been an uphill battle. But my main thing right now is getting that to establish the West Coast Ravens because that played a big role. The Ravens gave me a great opportunity, and it helped my story, and God made sure that happened.
Yeah.
So then I have value. I've been to these NFL facilities. That wasn't the only facility I've been to, but that was the one that actually gave me, opportunity. I was there, played preseason. So having that, training background, because I was training with them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was still training with them even in 2015. Up to 2017, I was still actually pursuing the journey, and then I got blessed when I got, I was supposed to have, basically I went to Vegas 2017 to have an opportunity with the CFL team.
Okay.
And then it didn't work out, and then God blessed me to be the running back coach at University of Redlands.
Nice.
So I've been blessed already that I was coaching at a university. It's just, like I said, I had my son. He was like 2 now, and it was just a lot. They require a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to put this on the back burner. And, I want to spend time with my son and coaching at the time. So
and that's not always an easy decision,
it's
man.
not.
That's not always an easy decision. So I mean, I hats off for you for that, because that's not. A lot of times people will choose work over family, man, and I think those are the most vital years of children.
So I started working like graveyard through some of those years. After that, like 18, 19, and then I was still training. Then I was able to do full-time training for like 3 to 4 years. And now I'm transitioning to the armed guard field. So I'm blessed, I work out of school now. So, as an armed guard, so I'm blessed that, I have that. I'm still offering training for the kids, but now I just feel like I'm going into a different season of my life.
Yeah.
God is always going to keep me locked in with my community, but since there's so many options and so many great things going on or seem to be great, I'm going to take a step back, let everybody do what they're doing, and still be there for them, but just from another approach, because I feel like everything's seasoned. I've been doing this like 9 years, 10 years, like, even like I said, when I had that tough situation happen, I still was training.
Yeah.
I still was a part of the community. I still been here. But now I think the vision is getting more clear with the travel flag teams. And we'll be doing all ages, from ages 6 all the way up to 14. And we were blessed to win Hard Count. So we went to Hard Count. We went to Vegas, Orange County, and San Diego.
Yeah.
So 2 of our teams, our 6U and our 9U, ended up winning in Orange County.
Yeah.
So then we went to Nationals in San Diego, and it was tough out there. You got the best of the best teams from Arizona, Texas, Vegas, Cali. And our teams held their own. So shout out to all the teams in the West Coast Ravens and the worthy opponents, travel flag teams. We're going to get back at it. Appreciate the coaches and the parents. So I'll be doing that. Like I said, still doing camps, still developing the West Coast Ravens as a tackle, but just doing certain ages and just being here, to motivate and to inspire.
Yeah.
That ain't going to stop no matter what my job title is or what I'm doing with my personal life. My heart is still with the community always and building the village.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I think that I love how you're talking about all these things, because one of the things I keep like correlating with everything that you're talking about is a lot of times, man, we think about being an inspiration and uplifting the community is that we have to everything has to be fast.
Yeah.
And the not too long ago I listened to a podcast, man, and it was he's a pastor from a church in Vegas, and real good pastor, man. Respect him a lot, and I love what he was talking about. And for years, he was just in the background.
Yeah.
He was just a pastor in the background, and one of the things he's like, I think the question to him was like, what's one of the things that you value the most in your leadership? And he's like, you know what? I've just learned that, we always hear that good things take time. He's like, but I really feel that God has really taught me to embody that, where I'm never in a rush. Like if God brings it, he brings it. And when he brings it, it's just much more beautiful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even when he was talking, man, I was like, because I don't know about you, man, but me, I can get anxious about the future,
man.
bro. Am I doing enough? Am I being a good dad?
Facts.
Dang, did I get my son in at the right time?
Yeah.
Did I post enough? Man, I should have posted that.
Yeah.
Dang, I should have recorded that, or I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have, man, like,
Then with
like
the
I didn't
wife,
meet
it's
my
a whole
quota.
nother
Yeah,
thought process.
and then like,
on
man,
top of that.
am I
Top of
providing?
thinking that, you thinking about the home
Yeah,
life.
the home life. Man, I messed up
Did I do
again.
this? Did I do? Yeah.
And it's always like we have trained ourselves to be these fast-paced people, and we confuse that with success.
Yeah.
The faster we go, the more success
We can
we
obtain
can
or
we can
something.
obtain, or we're showing.
Or we're
And
showing, yeah.
And when he was saying that, I was like, dang, like God just convicted me, and it's just like, yeah, like George, like you gotta slow down.
Slow down.
Like you have to just slow down. Good things.
Live in that moment too.
Even like weight loss journeys.
Yeah.
Like training, like,
We wanted it in
sometimes
15 days or 30
Yeah.
days, and it took 3-4 years
Yeah.
to get this. And now we think, I'll get rid of it in 30 days. What's
Yeah.
a 30-day plan? Like, no, we need that 3-year plan.
Yeah. Like Coach Gary, I've already gone 2 sessions with you. How come
Why
my
am I-
son's not?
Yeah. It's like, no, I need you for 3 months at least.
Yeah.
I need you 24 sessions. I tell people straight up, look, I'm not the guy that can just do this in a month or 30 days. I'm not even offering that. Even when I do fitness clients, I'm like, I need 24 sessions. So if you want to break that down, 8, 8, 8, we can do that. But 4 sessions, 1 session, that's not going to cut it for
Yeah.
me. I need you because it's going to take time. I got to get around you. Because it goes back to, like I said, I don't know what's going on in-house. So I can't worry about, are they helping with some of the stuff I'm teaching right here when they got other stuff that they got to teach. They got
Yeah.
other stuff they got to implement.
Yeah.
But if I can see your kid more now, your kid understands what I'm thinking and how I'm thinking about the training or the footwork. So now at home they can either continue to practice it, or you bringing them so much, you're learning.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, let's get out there. Now as the parent, you're bonding with them, getting them some training. You don't got to teach them much. But, do you remember this drill? Oh, I remember. I
Yeah.
can help you with that. So that's what it's more about. Come. Because I'm not the guy that I want you for 2, 3, 4 years. Not saying I don't want to, but I'm just saying I teach you to grow.
Yeah.
All my clients are supposed to grow and get to the next step. I'm just a part of the season. It could be 2, 3 years, a year. It could be 3 months, whatever it is. But you always can come back to me. You can
Yeah.
always tap back in and be like, hey, coach, I need that. Or let's get back to it, But I'm not the one that's trying to keep you forever.
Right.
So I don't take it personal, y'all. I'm not taking it personal.
Yeah.
Even the ones that's playing on other teams or when I'm trying to do what I'm doing with the football stuff, I'm not taking it personal. I want these kids to play wherever they can, wherever it's best fit for them.
Yeah.
And I'm always an option. If it's training, if it's playing on one of the teams that I'm working with, I'm just trying to provide something for them because
Yeah.
they're going to need me regardless because I got connections at high school. I got connections with college.
Yeah.
So I got connections with 7-on-7. I got connections with different things. So I can't take it personal because I'll disservice my community.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm human. There's things that might, I might want to speak on or I might say, and it might sound a certain narrative, but at the same time, it's just my truth. So I
Yeah.
might put it out there, and it's not no disrespect. It's no disrespect. It's just you know?
Yeah, you got it. You're human.
emotion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're human. Yeah, yeah. And we
It's
have
something
to.
that
It's
I
like-
see.
Yeah.
So I want to speak on it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it rubs people the wrong way, but that goes back to, like I said, the entitlement or the things we're feeling some type of way, but we won't speak on it. We'll go speak to somebody else.
Yeah.
I know people speaking about stuff with each other, but not with me.
Right.
And then one of them that have that conversation, one of them might come to me, but it's like, well, I need both of y'all to come to me so we
Right.
can figure it out together.
Yeah.
And not pre-conversated or, pre-marinated or whatever.
Yeah.
However you want to put it. And now you coming at me where it's not open-minded or it's just kind of one-sided already.
Right.
And now I'm already in defense mode. See, people don't really realize I get in my defense mode pretty easy. You know what I mean? I get in my
Yeah.
defense mode pretty easy. So, it's tough.
Yeah.
But it's a battle, uphill battle.
Yeah. Definitely.
But I think, like I said, the parents and the kids got to understand that us volunteers, when we're volunteering, we're volunteering. Now, if you're paying for a service, that's different. It's way different,
yeah.
But I think people need to realize the difference. When I'm your volunteer coach, I'm your volunteer coach. I'm not really working for you. When you're paying me for services of training or mentoring, I work for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we work together.
Right.
So that's where that gray area is, I think, too, that some people don't understand the difference of a volunteer coach and you having these standards for a volunteer coach that is doing this for free compared to someone that you're actually paying services
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
So that's another thing we have to be mindful of, knowing the difference.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's real good. That's really good for the parents to know, to understand. Even for me, like I know that that's one thing that throughout the years I'm learning. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, at the end of the day, I really try to center and focus and be like, okay, at the end of the day, what is it that I have to do as a parent?
Facts.
And what is it that I have to be on the coach's side with when it
Yeah.
comes to my son.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to that where it's like, yeah, things take time.
Things take
And I
time.
think we have to just be okay with things being time. We live in a highlight generation. Everything is about highlights, the highlights.
Man,
You
looking good,
looking
quick
good.
feed.
Yeah.
The clips now is crazy because most time it's not even about training.
No.
Or about the highlight. It's not even a highlight. You know what I'm saying? The highlights ain't highlighting. Because I'm like, well, where's the play? All I seen was you tie your cleat, come out the locker and wipe your jersey.
Yeah,
I might have
yeah.
seen you on the field do like a run across. I don't see you scoring. I don't see you making no tackles.
Yeah.
I don't see you pulling no flags. I don't see you catching no touchdown. So the highlights these days, the standard is different from how it was when we were kids.
Yeah.
You had to have real highlights. We didn't really care about your jersey, your cleat, the way your glove looked. Like now they just stand there and be like,
Well, yeah, it's like it's all
hands
about
showing.
branding.
It's just
all-
branding. It's like, well, where's the?
Yeah.
And that's where the confusion, because the
Yeah.
people that are allowing that to happen are the ones making money.
Yeah.
So they're promoting that. It used to be only the best players had the glasses. The best players had the swag. Now they coming up in pajamas. There's just a lot of stuff that I'm just not dialed in with the culture that is changing, because where's the hard work? Where's the learning how to be a professional? Where's that at?
I think that's where a lot of coaches, because this one thing I have seen, like I'm all for development, but I have seen some coaches, man, where that's where they do favor the talent over the development.
That's it.
And I think that that's not cool. You know what I mean? Like where it's like, because I've seen like where you'll have a player miss 3, 4, 5 practices and then they still start.
Come on, man. Where's the discipline?
Where's the discipline?
You're creating a problem for that kid's future.
Exactly.
Because those are the same kids that be like, when they get to high school, this coach don't like me, all this. And now
Yeah.
they transferring 2, 3 different times.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, what?
Yeah, like I love, I just recently watched, I love that movie, Coach Carter.
Oh, yeah, facts.
Love that movie, man. And Samuel L. Jackson, man,
Yeah.
does a great job, man. But I love, like, there's a part where, like, he sets the standard right away. He's like, boom, here's the standard. Here's the contract. And then I think at that point, like 3 of the top players just leave. And then like some of the players like, man, those were our leading scorers last season. And I love what he said. He's like, well, I guess there's going to be 3 new leading scorers this season. And it's like, yeah, you know,
you take on that role.
Yeah, because he's like, he's not looking like talent. He's looking for development. He's like, I want to develop you. That's basically what he's saying. He's like, you're making a pact with me, I make a pact with you. And I think that a lot of coaches nowadays, it's like their pact is like winning. Like, how many games can I win?
Yeah.
How many games can I? But they're not looking at like how many games. How many like each game. How do these players develop? How did they get better? You know, and I think that does feed into. I think it's all tied in together. But I think a lot of these coaches have to start realizing that, you know, okay, if we're gonna have standards of talent, like you got to set standards all across the board. So like, if you like, just because you like how he plays, but he's missing practice over and over,
what are you really teaching him?
What are you teaching him?
He's losing.
And then you are seeing the kid that is showing up like 15, 20 minutes earlier every practice.
Extra, got a trainer or something, possibly.
They're paying and they're doing this. They're paying their fees and they're doing all this stuff.
To get their 5 to 8 plays.
Yeah, you know, and
because you don't trust him because he's not showing you something on the eye test.
Yeah,
and that's another thing. Not to cut you off, no. The way that the coaches and trainers are nowadays, who's qualifying them? How are y'all the best? Like, a lot of them are just recruiting and suckering in the parents. Let's keep it honest, at least from my opinion. And it's not really truly development. The kids that are already good are good. Come on now, let's stop
Natural
playing.
talent is...
Come on, let's just stop playing. The kids that are already good, they're good.
Yep.
You know, so a lot of these people at good programs are developing, they are helping, but then they get caught up with, now, let me just get the best players.
I want to create a winning team.
That's it. I want to win a team. So you're absolutely correct that it just becomes, at a certain point for some people, how can we just win? Let's just recruit. Yeah. Let's recruit. So I remember it wasn't really much recruiting going on with youth football. Now it's like, I remember once you find a team that offers what you basically need, you just stay with them. That might take a few seasons to find which team. You might be here. Yeah. But so I'm not saying don't bounce around to see where's the best opportunity. Yeah. But once you see that, or once you get there, stay there and develop and grow there, unless they don't offer the things that are helping you grow. Yeah. You know, but I think that's another important thing to understand. Get somewhere that can help you grow.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that, 100%, man. As a matter of fact, like, I was pretty bummed out that, because the first football season that my son played for was for Colton. Yep. And then we tried to get him into the second season, but man, they filled up quick. Dang. You know, and so he missed that season, and that season he played soccer, and I coached the soccer team, good. And then this season we try to get him back, you know, because I want him in a place where he can get familiar with coaches and all that.
It helps.
It helps, and it helps him. You know, it creates friendships, culture. Because that's another thing, man. This teamwork. You know, I love what I don't know if you saw that clip with Tom Brady. He was on a podcast too. He was getting a haircut.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I love what he talked about. He's like, man, like, people are just all about themselves now. They're not about the team.
When he was talking about pay cut, I think he's talking about how he had a pay cut.
No, he was talking about how, like, just a lot of people, a lot of football players nowadays, like, they're all about their individual brand instead of the overall team. Because he talked about how, because it's true, like I'm not a Tom Brady fan, you know what I mean? But he did great things, dude.
And he took pay cuts to get the right people on his team.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that, like he won championships. He wasn't and like he became a brand. Yes, but that was never his goal. Like, his goal was always, how many championships can I win with the Patriots? And
the team mentality. Basically. The team mentality. On that team mentality.
So he breaks that down.
He really embraced that.
He really did, man. And so I love when he breaks it down on that clip.
Yeah,
and
I'm
it's
about
like,
to go find that clip.
It's true, bro. It's like, it's so true. Like homeboy, like, really, really, it's like, man, because there it is, man. And I feel like I don't know, man. I could be wrong. It probably happened before that, but I feel like the Big Baller brand, man. Like I feel like they kind of started all that in a good way. I feel
Yeah,
like
in a
they had
good
the
way.
best intentions,
In a good way.
but I feel like that just kind of just
That was the innovation of a lot of different things, and
Yeah.
and it continued from that. But that they created a certain standard of that,
Yeah.
and then people, trying to catch wind. And I think a lot of things now is about being independent. I think being independent nowadays is something that individuals are looking for.
Yeah.
So those type of brands that are trying to go up as a big corporation and fight against these corporations, it's a good thing. Like you said, it's good.
Yeah.
It brings a lot of controversy, of course, and a lot of opinions of others. But at the same time, it's people trying to pursue something. That's our main thing. We just want people pursuing stuff. That is like the goal. Pursue something. Work
Yeah.
at it. Go after it. Like live a good, fun, loving life by pursuing something. Learn yourself.
Yeah.
Learn yourself.
Yeah.
I think that would be something I have to lead the people with. Love yourself and learn yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure, man. And I just want to, before we close, man, I have some questions, man, that I'd like for you to answer, man.
Yes, sir.
And this has been great, dude. This has been great.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate it so much, man. So, I want to ask, what has been a scripture in your life, man, that has played a vital role?
So I have Philippians 4:13. I actually got that tatted on me in high school. I can do all things through Christ to strengthen me. And then I got, I don't know if I got this one in high school, but I got Romans 8:28, and we know that all things through Christ.
All things work together
They're
for the
pretty
good.
Yeah. My fault. I had a little blank. So yeah, Philippians 4:13 and Romans 8:28. I broke my elbow like 7th grade season for football, and I couldn't play. And those were like scriptures my dad had me like write a few times. There was other scriptures too. There was a bunch of scriptures, but those are the two that really stuck with me and really played a huge, vital role. So I got those deeply in my heart and on my body. So yeah, those two, Romans 8:28 and then Philippians 4:13.
That's what's up. And then also, what has been, what, if you want to talk about it in detail or not, but what has been a situation in your life where maybe your faith has been rocked? And how did you overcome?
So we'll just talk about the football, really. So every year I got better. I was an underrated player, but every year I got better from 9 years old when I first started all the way up to 8th grade. I became like one of the two-way players because in Pop Warner at that time you only had 3 two-way players. So I just played running back, just played one position. 8th grade, now I'm developed, I'm more focused. Now I'm starting both sides, offense and defense. Freshman year got better, sophomore year got better, junior year got better, senior year. So all the people I basically played with, I'm one of the only ones with a scholarship. You know what I mean? So in college, freshman year, I was pretty good. Sophomore year, pretty good. Junior year, really good. Senior year, really good. But we only won one game. So now I'm training to get to the NFL, and I started thinking, like, am I even going to make it to the NFL? Why am I even trying? What is, like, all the doubt, all the just confusion, and, like, I had dreads pretty long. They were, like, down here. I cut my dreads. I'm like, I need a fresh fade.
Yeah.
I might need to get ready for the professional world. It was just a lot that I was just, like, so lost about at the time. And then pro day comes, I kill it. They thought I was going to run a slow time. I ran the time that they unexpected. Agents calling me, a few teams calling the agent. So long story short, I get with the Ravens. I get released from the Ravens, and this is where everything just crashing down. Everything crashing down. Like I said, people turning their back on me. Nobody there for me. The attention stopped. Just the everything that was before stopped. And it just made me be like, what's my identity? Who am I? What am I doing? Like, what am I going to do? So few people from church reached out, and Anthony Brown, I'm gonna shout him out. My grandparents' granddad reached out. He started telling me pulling up to Fitness 19 and working out like at 5 a.m. And that was God basically right there. You know what I mean? God used him to tell me, hey, start coming, start coming. And I started coming. He even paid for a membership for me to start coming. So that moment right there was very life-changing. I didn't realize it. But right now, I'm putting that out there that I feel like that moment I was down and out, and he helped me get back on that track of like, start training. Like, come on, come with me. He was doing the Herbalife, but it was the fact of just come on. So appreciate you, Anthony Brown, for that, for sure. That helped me a lot, man.
That's good. That's beautiful, man. I love how every time or anytime we go through a dark moment, man, some way, somehow, that's where like God is just, he flexes and say, I haven't forgotten you.
And he uses somebody.
And he uses always people.
Because you're like, I'm saying this is the worst. Nothing's going to get better. What am I going to do? And next you know, I think he called me or I ran into him at the field, something. Whatever happened, however God connected it and told him to tell me, get there. And then that led me to T. Smalls. And we started eventually the Lab 909.
Nice.
And we started training and getting it in, and he mentored me with the training.
Nice.
You know, a lot of the stuff with training for our structure and just, because I only knew NFL. I only knew hard training, go hard, go crazy in there. And I didn't realize people don't train like that. That's not what they're doing. They're definitely not working out hard at all. No disrespect. But as far as what my experience was of working out, they weren't working out on that level. So he helped me understand, tone it down, live in reality. Everybody's not working out like that. Like that's a whole nother level. So shout out to T. Smalls because like I said, that moment going to Fitness 19 in Rialto connected me with him, which was Jimmy Smith's brother, which when I was on the Ravens, I was up there with Jimmy Smith. So he helped connect. You know, it was just, God worked it all out.
God, man.
God worked it all out where now I have a foundation of the working out world, because that's what I was involved in anyway, and a community of people that are staying positive with the fitness and growing in other aspects of life. So God brought me out of that dark time of not having no direction, not knowing what to do. You know what I mean?
For sure, man. And then lastly, to close, what advice would you give your younger self?
The advice I would give my younger self, that's a great question. I have plenty of answers for it, but right now, based on everything we talked about, I want to give a good answer for that. So the advice I would tell, let's give an age range though too.
Well, what do you feel
Younger
you're
self.
Well, you know what?
Let's give an age.
Let's say from the age, from the age of 5 to 10.
Okay. Age 5 to 10, that was tough because I was going through a lot of adversity. I'm not going to lie to you. But the advice that I would give myself, it might sound cliche, but it would just say, don't give up and have a faith life. You know, have your faith. So don't give up and have your faith. Hopefully, at that age, I had people teaching me. But for everybody else, if that's in between that age, be that person to give that younger person faith. You know what I mean? Give them something to believe in. So that's what I would tell myself, you know, have faith. You know, don't give up. So
beautiful, man. Well, thank you so much, Coach Gary, man. It's a pleasure, man. It was awesome. A beautiful conversation, man. I'm so glad that you agreed to come on here and share your story. I hope that more people will be inspired by your story. I hope more people will be able to fully understand and grasp what it is that you're doing in the community, because what you are doing, Coach, is really something for the community, man.
Appreciate you.
And I wish that my prayers and my hope is that our cities, I don't like getting into politics or any of that, but my hopes and my prayers is that our cities really stop routing funds to things that don't matter and start routing funds to things that matter, which is our kids, our future, man. And I'm so glad what Fontana is doing over there, man. They got like 3 sports complexes right there. They're doing it. Shout out to the city of Fontana for doing that. San Bernardino City, let's up our game,
up it
man.
up
We don't
so
even
we
have a
know.
nice field for our kids to play in. We don't even have a nice park for our kids to
Yeah.
play in,
We
man.
need a few turf fields out there.
We need some turf fields.
Playgrounds.
Playgrounds. We
Even,
need
you know what I mean, some baseball
some
fields.
enforcement, man. We need
Yeah.
some armed guards, security
Armed
companies
guards.
to protect
go.
these parks, man,
Let's
for
go.
real. Because, man, like we got to stop letting. You know what, man? People that had a chance to go for it, I believe there's hope. But there's a lot of people out there that they don't want the hope, man. And we need to really start focusing our efforts on the future of our generation, our kid, our cities, man. So I hope that this inspires. I hope that
Yeah,
this
come together.
wakes people up. Parents, wake up. Remember, it's not always the coach's fault. Sometimes we got to look to ourselves. What habits are we creating? Maybe you got to do what I did. Is I went into the cupboard one day and I said, man, I'm taking all this sugar out.
Yeah.
All this sugar out, man. This sugar is robbing my kids' focus. It's messing with them. You know, I even had to take my son's VR set.
Yeah.
I had to take his VR set because you know what? He was getting too much into that virtual reality
Yeah.
that, you know, he wasn't focusing on
Real
the true
life.
reality. You know what I mean? And so sometimes, man, as parents, it might feel drastic. It might feel like we're robbing them of a childhood that maybe we wish we would have had.
Facts.
But we got to take a look at the good we did learn, even the disciplines
Yeah.
that we did learn. Maybe we hated them. Maybe we hated the way that our parents did it to us. But let's really think about what good did come out of that,
Facts.
and let's apply that in our way,
Facts.
because our kids do need us. We need good young men. We need young men and young women that are able to look people in the eye and say hello and greet them,
Yeah,
and
confidence.
and to be able to say know and understand who they are, that are faith-filled, that have good values, that don't have to walk around life like us all offbeat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And wondering, man, like, why am I weird? Why am I strange? Why am I emotional? Why am I going through this? Nah, let's feed that confidence in them. And I believe that with God, all, like you said, with God, all things are possible. I
Yes,
can
sir.
do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that's not just for lifting. That's not just for working out. That means all things, your parenting, the way you speak, the way if you're a husband, a wife, you can do all these things through Christ. He will strengthen you, man. I believe that with all my heart. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, man. Continue to subscribe, like, share this video with someone. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. We're on there. We're always releasing clips on the daily there, man.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was Offbeat Podcast. Let's go. Yeah.